Oh, baby. World Cup fever. You got it? I got it.
Yeah, I think I'm coming down with it. I don't know.
I think you're lying to me. How many times have you gotten up at 5 a.m. to watch uh
zero. There's
what was the game I can't believe I woke up for? Switzerland versus Cameroon at 5 in the morning.
That's your own fault for
Ter-
waking
I,
up 5
I,
a.m. for that
I
game.
stayed up for 15 minutes and I was like, this is not worth it. Click right back to sleep.
There's a reason I
Uh,
send you my 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. predictions the night before. It's because I'm not getting up for those games.
man, speaking of predictions, you're terrible.
I went 4 for 4 today. What do you mean?
Barely.
What do you
Uh,
mean barely?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. We are on season three, episode I think 54, which translates to episode 130 in the season or in the history of the Designated Players Podcast. It's pretty crazy. Um, we are 1.5 weeks or match weeks through the World Cup, so it's time for a little check-in, time for a little analysis of each group. Um, some big brain bragging is what I'm going to call it, some BBB, um, to our friends maybe across the country in Wales. I don't know. Um, and then there's some apologizing that needs to happen too. Connor specifically, we'll give him all the time he needs. But we're just going to go
Me?
through yeah, you.
Me?
Yeah, you. For being a Euro snob, you
I
need
have
to
nothing to
apologize for that.
apologize for.
Yes, you do. We're just going to go through the groups. We're going to talk about some of the results that we've had, the most and least impressive teams, standout player, and talk about if there are some real deals. Or you know what? I think we've got a different segment there. I'm gonna ask you if you would change your predictions from the start of the World Cup. That
Oh,
is that is
sure.
gonna be the point.
Just throw my prep out the window. Why
Yeah.
not?
Listen, you can if you got a good one, you can throw it in there. That's fine because I didn't prep it, but I can think on the spot. I got a big brain.
We can just hit some of like the major ones. We don't have to go crazy with it, but
Sure,
we'll just call it like fact or fiction. Like, is there a place in the standing? Is that for real or is it
I'm
just
about it.
all right?
We are recording this after Thanksgiving, which means it is Christmas time in Alfred, New York. So we've got the lights up. We got Abraham hanging out with us. Abraham. Connor, you're lagging like crazy.
Yeah, it is lagging a lot.
That's awesome. Um, it doesn't really matter what. Are you okay?
Yeah,
All right. It
I'm
doesn't
great.
really matter. It doesn't really matter what type of season it is because it's always Scarf of the Week season. But I noticed you don't have anything.
Yes, I was not prepared to record while I was at my parents' house this week.
Almost like we only said it 4 different times.
We decided to record this like a day or two ago.
I talked to you about it multiple times. This is ridiculous.
This is show me the receipts. I don't believe it. I am scarfless, but I will say I placed an order for 5 new scarves that are coming in soon. I've got 3 new teams, and I doubled up on 2 teams that I already have a scarf for, but they were really nice scarves, and I had to get them.
Interesting. I've got three coming in. I've got two brand new ones and a Red Bull one because if there's a sale on Red Bull scarves, I got to get it. But today, um, Pexico went in and I don't want to say embarrassed themselves, but they kind of embarrassed themselves. Going in and what did they do? They lost 2-0 to Argentina, and I think they had maybe a one shot on goal. So to
Well,
honor their early exit from the World Cup,
wow, that's an
Club
early
T
Selly.
Club Tijuana
They're not out yet.
manifest. We're manifesting good things.
Listen, it's not far-fetched to say that they're still in this because they have the last game they have is Saudi Arabia, who's playing well, but like that's a winnable game.
Yeah. Um,
Don't count them out yet. They're definitely in some trouble, but they're not out.
I mean, listen, for the vibes, Saudi Arabia is going to win that game.
Maybe,
I need
maybe.
that. I need that in my life. Should we go alphabetical order or should we?
We should go reverse alphabetical order.
Wow, bold as hell.
Yeah, I know. Where do I come up with these things?
I don't know, but because you are going so crazy, you're going to start things off. Talk to me about Group H. We've got Uruguay versus South Korea at a 0-0, Portugal 3-2 to Ghana. Talk to me about your thoughts on that group.
All right, so I'll say this is super early for this group considering they've only played one game each. Uh, I think as of the date of recording, as we just talked about, Mexico, Argentina was the last game that played. So there's like half of the groups, actually more than half of the groups, I think. No, I think half. Half of the groups still have only played one game.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a bit harsh to say exactly like which team has been most or least impressive, but at the moment, right now, maybe this you could tell me if I'm wrong. This might be a hot take. Most impressive for me, the team that's at the bottom of the table right now, Ghana. I think they played a hell of a game against Portugal. I mean, they were the heavy underdogs in this game, and they were just so gritty and tough in that game. And they were a slip away from getting a point. Like I know, in my opinion, a deserved point, but um, and nothing will ever top hitting the Ronaldo Sue while losing in the 89th minute.
Yeah,
That is like I would say it's CONCACAFing, but honestly, I don't know. Maybe that's common, like
it's
uh
AFCON, baby.
AFCON.
Get
Yeah.
get AFCON, bro.
Yeah.
um,
But I mean, we come on, as USA fans, we know really well that like despite the fact that Ghana's the lowest ranked team coming into this World Cup, they just know how to be gritty and how to be tough and how to get results in the World Cup. This team always plays above how they look on paper. And I think they've done it so far. I still think it's going to be tough for them to get out of this group, especially because they still did end up losing that game. But I thought they played way better than I was expecting them to.
yeah, and how crazy was the ending of that game where they nearly got it back when Costa dropped the ball on the floor
Oh, that
and
would have been insane.
he picks it off and then slips. All he has to do is stand there and tap it home, and he slipped. The
I
soccer gods
know.
were not on Ghana's side there, not at all. But I agree that is my most impressive team as well. Um, this is a team of world beaters, Portugal, right? Everybody's thinking they're going to get to the finals at some point. I mean, a bunch of people are. And they were able to hang with them and nearly took it off of them, nearly took 2 points off of them. They matched Portugal in shots. They beat them in aerial battles. They matched them in their tackles defensively. Um, they were outpossessed, but they stuck in. They took their chances. They countered well, and they showed that they can play with teams in this league, in this group rather. Excuse me. Um, my coach at Alfred posed a really cool question. When, how much longer until an African team wins the World Cup? And it got me watching the games a little bit closer. While they aren't necessarily like a ton of world beaters, quote unquote, because they're not European, they fight, man. They are never going to give you an inch. Um, and that's what this Ghana team did. They went in there and they fought for every inch of grass, and they went down early. They got beat out by a couple of counters when they were pressing to open it up, but goodness me, did they show fight? And it'll be very interesting to see how other teams handle it.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting question. And I think I almost wonder if expanding the World Cup, like they're planning on doing, if that's going to help their case or hurt their case. I almost feel like it may hurt just because it's going to bring in more like European, South American level teams.
Mm-hmm.
But you're 100% right. Like I think their physicality and their toughness, their fight is just unrivaled. And I think once they start to like develop the technical game a bit more, just like the same thing that like I think the US needs to work on as well. It really is like the last piece of the puzzle that could make them like a legitimate contender. I mean, Africa produced so many good players. I really think it's not out of the picture to see like that happen potentially soon. I mean, I don't exactly know what soon means, but probably not too many World Cups away.
No, I agree. And the other thing that I was thinking about was the complete, I'm going to use the term unbalance of awarded World Cup spots, in that Europe gets 13 to, I believe, Africa's four, if I remember how many I counted. Um, Europe, yes, it has 150 nations, 100 of them the size of Rhode Island, but they all need to get their fair shot, whatever. I don't care. We're missing many, many, many impressive African teams this year. Nigeria is not here. Algeria is not here, just to name two. And if we were able to balance that out more, you'd give the Africans a better shot too, and you give the South American, not the South Americans, the North Americans a shot, and the Asian Confederation a shot, and I'd say Oceania, but they're not really in the competition yet. Um, the fact that Europe and now South America is a anomaly is the term I'll use because yes, they get four spots and they've got five or six titles to their name, but Europe, you could roll a dice, flip a coin, and have better odds of getting a European team than anybody else, just because of how many there are.
Yeah, I did a quick count. I want to say, unless I missed somebody, that there's 13 European teams in here. Double checking. Yeah, I believe 13 European teams. Um, to their credit, they have nine of them right now in a place to move on to the knockouts. It's a good return. I mean, I know obviously we talk a lot about like how like there is definitely a debate to the weight that they put on like how many teams from Europe qualify, but they are very successful in the World Cup and they've won them a lot as of recent.
I don't know if you have the groups in front of you, but can you do a quick count on how many groups have two European teams?
Got one, two, three, four, five. Nope. Yep, five groups.
Okay, so more than half of the groups have a 50% chance of having a European team advance. So you're basically guaranteeing at the very least
Probably
half,
one of them. Yeah.
yeah, half of the final 16 spots are going to be European. You know, that's that's annoying because you've got again, if you took half this team out, right? Wales, for example, take Wales out, put Algeria in there, put Nigeria in there, please. Like I'd easily rather go watch those guys play than a Wales team that has been there once in 60 years and is a one-man team, has three shots on target all tournament. Costa Rica was another one that we'll get into it, but we're putting playoffs in for CONCACAF nations who maybe don't deserve it, right? Why are we doing a CONCACAF versus Oceania when maybe we should be doing CONCACAF versus AFCON, right? Like
Hmm.
they need to be given a better shot. I
Yeah.
don't think that's completely out of the question. You've got one, two, three. Yeah, you've got four African teams right now to 13 European teams. Again, and you've got four CONCACAF teams. You've got four um, CONMEBOL teams, and then you've got four Asian Confederation teams. Is that correct? Yeah, it might be four or five, but it's four or five across the lot, right?
Yeah, they got I think five for no, six for Asia. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, they got six Asia because Qatar also has a spot.
That's right. But either way, you're looking at least a 2-1 advantage for any at the most or at the least, however you want to look at it, a 2-1 advantage to every other confederation. Sometimes a 3 to. I don't care how many European nations there are. If every one of the top, 25 nations or whatever is getting in except for one, right? Everything's like, oh, Italy missed out and Netherlands missed out. You missed one good team out of the 13 that you get, it's going to happen. Africa's missing 4 right now. So don't know what you want me to tell you. Your complaints fall on deaf ears. Sorry.
I hear you. I think you could definitely I think you could pick a number of South American and African teams and they would put up 10 times more of a fight than Costa Rica is going to put up.
Correct. And like I said, this isn't a knock on European teams because you're right. They're going well, and I'm not here to slander them at all. But there are more deserving teams out there with tougher qualification processes that put them at a disadvantage. We can go on about this all day long.
Completely off
I
topic
definitely
already.
this should have been put as a question of the day and put it at the very end. But yeah, that's my bad. I
That's all
didn't
good.
plan that one out.
It's a good question. It's a good
It
question.
is, and maybe we do some editing magic, throw it in the back. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. Depends on
Maybe
if I feel like it.
really crazy. Question of the day. So clips.
Uh-huh.
Um, who's your least impressive team so far out of this Group H?
Okay. Again, it's very early on, but I put Uruguay. For me, I had a lot of chips on their table, whatever
You did.
saying you want to put. I have them going like pretty far in the tournament. I think that they're a really good team on paper. I think that they're a team that was coming in form into the tournament. Uh, and again, this one game where they didn't even lose, so it's very harsh to say that they're least impressive. Uh, but the way that I was looking at that team, I was expecting them to get 3 points against South Korea, who again are definitely not schlubs by any means. That's a very decent team, but when you have only 3 games to get out of the group, every win matters, and it's a game where I think that it would have been super beneficial for them to get a win because playing against Portugal, that's going to be a tough game no matter what. And then we just talked about how tough it is to get points off of Ghana too. So drop points here, I think, is below what I was expecting for them.
Yeah, a lot of these groups as we go through them is going to it's going to highlight that there are going to be teams that we have to call least impressive that aren't necessarily bad, but just underperform based off of our expectations. So things
Hmm.
things like that. Like I said, I also had Uruguay because a lot of people rated them. I personally put them out because I've got a big brain, right? Big brain brag. I knew that they were going to flop, and I have a massive, massive cranium. Um, but there were a lot of people who did rate them, like my co-host. And they should have been at least second to the group, if not maybe first for some people who are guessing. Um, but they struggled to break down a side made up of Korean League and Japanese League players, which is not and I defended those guys to the death. I told you were like, oh, I wasn't sure about, or that might have been the Japanese team about their back line. You weren't sure about them. Their results speak for themselves. Nunez was non-existent. Suarez didn't get a shot. The attack was just non-existent for this Uruguayan team that a lot of people thought was going to be fantastic. So they're also my least impressive team.
Co team.
Yeah. So we want to pick like the best player of the group, quote
Standout
unquote.
player, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
standout player. That's a good phrase. Um, I picked Bruno Penandes, ran the show for Portugal, nabbed 2 assists in that Ghana win. He had 3 key passes with 94% pass accuracy. Um, the Portuguese Alex Mouil, if you will. I
Gotta
was
sneak
real.
him in there every episode,
So
huh?
I got to tell you, I was really upset when you said go reverse because I was waiting for the very last minute to slide that in there. I put it there
Well, now you get to
specifically.
start off with it.
um, no, so like I said, he ran the show. Game went through him, 2 assists, 3 key passes, never lost the ball. He looked really good, so he's my standout player.
You want to know? You want to hear something funny?
Is he yours as well?
I also picked Penendez
Oh my God, let's go, team.
team. The only fact or fiction team I had in this one we already talked about was Ghana. I think we kind of covered that conversation. So
Yeah, a little bit too in depth.
yeah,
Let's move on to Group G. Talk to
Yeah.
me about, I'm going to tell you who my most impressive team was.
Okay.
The team led by Everton legend Richarlison. Brazil. When I tell you that they bossed this game, I mean, they bossed this game. Serbia basically defending the entire time, couldn't really get anything going. 23 shots to five. Five.
Yeah.
60% possession. Anytime Serbia tried to play through the lines, Casemiro was there. I was like, yes, I'll take that. Thank you very much, and go the other way. Um, this team was phenomenal. So good to watch. And even with Neymar out the next couple of games with his injury, I think they're still a favorite to get to at least the final.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I heard that he was out for the group stage. And at this point, I mean, for me, I expected Serbia to be their toughest game. And considering you got through that like with insane ease and
Mm-hmm.
you got to win, I'm gonna say that they're gonna be more than fine to get out of the group and probably still easily top the group even without Neymar.
Correct.
Yeah, I also had Brazil as my most impressive team. I mean, we definitely expected them to be strong. There's no question about that. But I mean, they looked like they made it happen so easily. And it's definitely not a given that these strong teams will come in and perform well. I mean, we saw a number of teams that didn't. So for Brazil to come in and actually like back their hype to me was definitely impressive.
Yeah. Um, Least impressive though. Who didn't you like?
I put Serbia. So I understand that they were obviously playing against Brazil, which was going to be a very tough matchup. But I mean, they looked lost out there. Five shots, zero on target. If you put zero shots on target, you're not scoring any goals. It's simple math there. I don't need to be a mathematician to figure that one out. I I know that they were the underdog, but I looked at the Serbian team and I thought that they would put up more of a fight than that. I mean, there's plenty of good players in this team. SMS, Mitro, Tadic. There's plenty. I mean, this team should have done more in the attack. They have good attacking players, and they also have Vlahovic, who came off the bench, but still. I want to say, if I remember it correctly, and I could double check it afterwards, there's a Twitter account that tracks XG for games, and I think
Of
Serbia
course, you
had.
follow something like that.
I don't follow it, but I saw it. I believe Serbia had like a point zero 0.04 XG that game, which is just they were just completely dead then, you know. So yeah, they were the least impressive for me. I still think they can bounce back, but it was not a great showing.
I too have that. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? With all this attacking talent that we hyped and hyped and hyped coming into this tournament, and the strong form, right? They beat Portugal. They were top of their Nations League group. They six in a row, whatever. You'd think that they'd be at least a little bit better in the attack. Like it wasn't like they were getting into the final third and not hitting the frame or getting into the final third and not finishing that final pass. They just had nothing going on except counterattack long balls. And again, let's take nothing away from Brazil and how good they were. We knew that they would be world class. But five shots, zero on target, just really underwhelming for the team that we hyped up at the beginning of this run.
Yeah, and I do want to correct my statement on the XG. It was actually not point oh 0.04. That was the halftime XG. Um, let's give the Serbian fans credit here. It was actually 0.23. So much better than we expected.
Talk to me about a standout player. There's only one choice. Don't mess it up.
It's easy. It's Richie, Watford legend,
Yeah.
Richarlison.
Hold on.
Oh boy. You're gonna go get an Everton scarf. I'm gonna talk anyway while you're running away to go get whatever Everton bobblehead you have. Um, he was obviously world class against Serbia. He got both goals for them. For a brief time, I think he was leading the Golden Boot for. the World Cup. Granted, again, it was one game, but still. Um, I have in my notes here that I think if he can be a consistent goal scorer for Brazil, for me, they're easily the favorites. I feel like striker is like the one position on Brazil where I feel like it's kind of up for grabs. And not that they don't have a good striker in their system, they have a few options. But if Richie can go out there and just make it his own and continue to score goals like he has been, then Brazil are going to be like unstoppable, in my opinion. And not to mention, he currently, I would say without question, has the goal of the tournament right now.
I mean, you said that you put things in your notes and so words. There's only one thing we need. Everton made the world. That's it. That's all you need.
I'm glad your audio got really messed up while you said that. So now it
Wait,
won't
did it
come
really?
through.
Did it really?
Yeah, but you don't have to say it again because I don't think anybody wants to
No,
hear
no.
it.
Let me try it again. Let me try it
Oh
again.
boy.
Everton makes the world takes. Okay,
Unfortunately, that one came in a lot clearer.
good. Listen, let's forget about the goals, right? Let's look at the way that he pressed from the front, how he put them under pressure the second the ball came out of the box. The nonstop, relentless pressing was phenomenal. Um, I agree, goal of the World Cup up to this point. That was his reward for all of the hard work that he did. So my only other message is please come back. We miss you. I need a goal scorer at Everton, please.
What do you mean? You have the guy you kept touting for the English national team, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
He's been hurt. Once he gets back, him plus DCL were an unstoppable duo. We
They were
only
very
are in this
clearly
position.
stoppable.
We're only in this position because DCL got hurt and didn't play most of last season. We're moving on. Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
Group F.
Oh, no, let's not move on yet. I have a
Oh, do you
question
have
for
one
you.
more? Go ahead.
Serbia's game against Brazil, or I guess their current position in the table of being at the
Mhm.
bottom. Fact or fiction? Are they going to continue to be towards the bottom, or are they going to rebound? Is this the real Serbia team, or
No, no, they'll rebound fine. Like I said, I think this is going to happen not only to every other team in the group, this whole press and don't let them out of their half and, suffocate, suffocate, suffocate. It's going to happen to multiple teams as they move on deep into this tournament. I mean, you're going to see a round of 16 games that teams aren't even going to get a shot off against these guys. They're phenomenal. So I don't take anything to it. The fact they kept it to two is pretty good. Um, RIP Switzerland and Cameroon because good luck.
yeah, that's exactly what I said too. All right, good. Let's move on.
Group F, we got Morocco and Croatia at a 0-0. Belgium 1, Canada 0. Who are you impressed by?
I'm impressed by our friends to the north, our Canadian brothers.
Way.
They did not deserve that result at all. From what I can see from the numbers, they were smacking around Belgium. XG wise, they like, let me find the numbers. I want to have it correct this time. They tripled Belgium's XG. They had a 2.83 where Belgium had a 0.86. So I'm going
Yep.
to say nothing other than the fact that they got super unlucky that they did not win this game or get a result at all. Uh, they played really well. We know that they can play really well. We watched them do it in qualifying. CONCACAF teams know that this Canada team is not one to sleep on. If they continue to play like this, I think they've got a real shot to get out of this group, despite the fact that they're starting off with a loss here. So yeah, for me, even though I had higher expectations than probably a lot of other people had, they were still the most impressive for me because they came out and they played really well against a really, obviously high reputation team like Belgium.
Yeah. The ability for them to go stride for stride with the number two team in the world, and not only just to survive them, but play with them and outplay them, speaks volumes about what this team can do going through. Um, should have been ahead with the penalty. They missed. It happens. Letting up a goal before halftime hurts. 22-9 on shots, 11 shots on target. They looked fantastic in possession. They looked fantastic defensively. Their shape was great. They won CONCACAF for a reason. They are the best CONCACAF team in the World Cup right now. I will die on that hill. I'd like to echo what head coach John Herdman said. They effing belong here because they do. A lot of people thought they'd get blown out. I didn't give them much of a chance. I don't know if I give them as much of a chance as you do, simply because of the right word is escaping me, but I'm thinking that consistency up front. Like I said, they got lots of shots off and they were on goal, but they weren't. Courtois made the penalty save and maybe one or two other good saves, but the other ones weren't really testing. Um, but they belong here. They aren't just cast away off to the side. We're gonna run over you and have a bit of fun. This team's here to play, and they can definitely surprise some people. I agree. Least impressive.
Maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. I went Belgium here. I know
Me
they're
too.
winning. They won. They're top of the table. But I just feel like considering they're the number two team in the world, and this is supposed to be their golden generation, they have KDB, Courtois, Hazard, Lukaku. This team should be amazing World Cup competitors. They should be challenging France and Brazil to win the whole thing. And I just feel like this team just feels very overrated at the moment. I think that they're an aging team that's aging out of their golden generation. I think some of their star players are in pretty bad form at club level, like Hazard and Lukaku. And their result against Canada, yes, they got the 3 points, and that's what's going to matter in the end. But the way that they played did not look like the number two team in the world. So for me, they've been the least impressive.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. I put them in there. Canada played them well. They played them tough. No disagreements there, but the feeling was underwhelming. That's the term I used. And did you use that as well? I thought I don't know if I heard that or not.
I don't think I said underwhelming, but
Okay.
along those lines.
Right, right. But that's the feeling that I got. You didn't watch this team and was like, wow, this team is going to be world. I mean, this is like you let's compare the way that we watch Brazil and the way that we watch Belgium, right? Belgium, not once did they get to the level we're like, ooh, that's cool. Because they
Hmm.
weren't, right? I've never seen Kevin De Bruyne misplace so many passes in a single game in years. And I've watched him a lot. That was his worst game of all time. It had to have been. They will get better. They're building into it. They'll be fine. But even though they won, you can definitely feel that they let a lot of people down. Who stood out for you? Player of the group.
It was kind of a tough one, honestly. I didn't really like love any of the choices, but I went with Courtois. I figured you really can't go wrong with picking the guy that saved a penalty and kept a clean sheet, got Belgium the win. So, yeah, Courtois is my standout player for this group.
Let me say, we love a goalkeeper here. You know what's better than one goalkeeper?
Two goalkeepers.
Two goalkeepers. I'm gonna shout Bunu. Bonu. Lots of different pronunciations I've heard this weekend. Um, in goal for Morocco, not only did he keep Croatia off the board, but he did it in a massive, massive way. He had two different breakaway saves, tap ins on the doorsteps, diving at feet on crosses. Um, Phenomenal performance to get Morocco a point here and keep them in the mix. I would say his value has gone up. I mean, it's already high up there, but he definitely raised it this weekend. So big ups to Bunu for me.
Nice. Um, Let me see. I think we kind of covered the ones I had factor fiction on. It was just Belgium and Canada, and I think we covered that. So I think we're
Nice.
ready to move on.
All righty, let's go to Group E then. You're flying through this.
Yeah.
Germany upset by Japan, 2-1. Phenomenal. Spain embarrassing Costa Rica 7-0. Do we need to talk about them? We actually might. Talk to me about your
Yeah.
most impressive team.
I went with Spain on this one. I
Ah,
know
darn it. I was hoping you'd go the other way.
Yeah, Japan definitely is a shout for most impressive, but Spain just looked so good when they played. And when I was looking up ratings for this team too, the biggest tell for me was the fact that there was one player on the team with an 8.0 rating, but the lowest outside outfield player was like a 7.2. Like everybody was like a 7.5 to like 8.0 rating because just everybody across the field was so good. Everybody was contributing. They looked like they just meshed well, like so well together. The team just played beautifully out there. And I get it that Costa Rica really shouldn't be at this World Cup. Is like this team is just not good enough. But Spain looked so good.
I agree. And I want to take a moment. This is a very important moment because I need to apologize to a lot of different listeners out there right now. Um, I went big brain and my big brain blew up on me. I predicted that if there were any team that was going to flop with talent, it was going to be Spain. Um, my guess, my only logical explanation is that Alvaro Morata was watching our TikToks. He heard us slander Spain, and then he said, "Bet." And then they went out and did that. That's the only explanation, really. I mean, I guess Pedri also could have been watching. He's a bit younger and more of his thing. Um, Maybe Gavi, but somebody somewhere saw what I had to say and wanted to make me look silly. Um, Goodness me. I am sorry. I was wrong. Spain are legit, and they're losing the next two games. They're getting knocked out. What?
Oh, wow. I think a lot of things would
uh,
have to go wrong for them to get knocked out.
at 7-0, that'd be scenes. Um, nope, I was wrong. I am sorry. I am all aboard the Spain hype train. Let's see what happens. Um, 3-0 by halftime, touchdown by the end of it, 82% possession. Oh my God.
It was bad. Costa Rica didn't even have a shot.
Oh my God. 17 shots to Costa Rica, zero. Unbelievable numbers.
It was like
And
nine
again,
nine shot or 8 shots on target and 7 went in. I think I don't know if you want to call it like I don't want to say it was the best performance World Cup performance ever, but I feel like for Costa Rica that might have genuinely been the worst World Cup performance ever. Like in a
so
game.
so here's what really hurts, right? We spent a good 4.5 minutes talking about how disrespected and underrated Keylor Navas was for
Yeah, I
him to
know.
show up and have the worst game of his entire life starting the World Cup. I had the buddy who had called him out for being not good, and started that whole conversation. Made sure for a fact that I did not forget. Um, oh man, that hurt. That one hurt. That whole day hurt. I can't remember what I was doing. Might have been in class or doing something. I missed the game. Um, yeah, we talked about it how they're and this is only going to happen more frequently, by the way, as we expand to, what are we at? We're at 32 right now. When we expand to 40 or 50, however many they're going to expand to, it's only going to get worse when you bring in teams like I'm trying to
When you
think who was
bring
on the
in more
bubble.
CONCACAF teams.
Or say, think about if they give CONCACAF an extra spot. Who's next? Nicaragua, El
Panama.
Salvador,
It's going to be Panama,
Panama.
who
That's
who
right. It would
lost
be
like
Panama.
5-0
Panama.
the World Cup before.
Correct. It's just going to get worse. Um, yeah, there's not much more to say about this. Spain was uberly impressive with a very, very large shout out to Japan as well.
Yes.
Fantastic result. Um, love that from the team who somebody predicted to go through. I don't remember who. Oh, wait. That was me, wasn't it?
Take it while you can because you predicted Spain out, and that's not
You're
looking so
darn
hot.
right I am. I have to. I have to.
All right,
My
should we talk
prediction.
about least impressive? I feel like
We
this one's
definitely
also up for
can.
debate.
We definitely can. Tell me which one you're gonna go.
I went Costa Rica because
Oh yes, we have something different.
yeah, you can talk about Germany. Listen, at the end of the day, Germany had a good performance and just didn't pull off the win. Costa Rica genuinely just would have been better off forfeiting this game because 7-0, they had 8 shots on target. It means one save was made. You had 0 shots and 18% possession. That, like I said before, they only had 230 passes in this game compared to Spain's 1,045 passes. I mean, like genuinely, someone like I'm sure there's probably some like 1930s game of like some team that literally like picked some guys off the street to like bring to the World Cup. That was probably worse, but at least in modern era, this has got to be the worst performance in a World Cup game ever.
I'm gonna do some research on that, but listen, I went with Germany here. I know Costa Rica got battered, got embarrassed. You're right. If they forfeited, they'd have zero stats and they'd only lose 3-0. It would have been way better.
Would have had the same number of shots.
Literally. Um, but I went with Germany because nobody expected Costa Rica to win that game. However, everybody expected Germany to at least get a point here. Um, sorry, that's not right.
What's not right?
Uh,
You must
going
be
back
looking
to
at
what we
your
were talking about.
predictions.
No, going back to what we were talking about. The disgrace of Gijón was what came up when I asked what was the worst World Cup game of all time. You do the research while I finish talking here.
Okay.
Everybody predicted Costa Rica to get beat. Maybe not that badly, but I don't think anybody expected them to go in and get a result against Spain, except maybe who predicted 2-2? Did you? I think you did.
No, I think I predicted Germany to win.
Somebody predicted 2-2 in our group. Um, Nobody expected Germany to do what they did. It sent me directly back to 2018. This felt like Germany double the shots, 75% possession, dominating the air game, couldn't convert a goal. They got the pen to get them ahead, and they couldn't hold the lead. To again, take nothing away from Japan. Great game, great result, great performance. But this is Germany's game to win, and they threw it away. I think Schlotterbeck in the center back role was very, very poor. I think he had a terrible game. Neuer was not the same Neuer we know and love. He didn't come off his line. He didn't claim crosses. He didn't do a lot. Havertz couldn't score a goal if he tried. We know they're missing Werner, but every team's got massive injuries. That's not an excuse. They have world class players all around them. They were extremely underwhelming and disappointing. Germany, my least impressive team through the first game. Who stood out for you?
So this was also kind of a tough one because I feel like you could pick anybody on Spain and genuinely have like a decent shout, but I feel like everybody on Spain was good, so it was hard to kind of pick out like a standout player amongst them. So I actually went with someone from Japan here. I went with
Ooh.
Shuichi Ganda on this in this case. Like I said before, Germany honestly dominated most of the game. And numbers wise, it's surprising that they didn't walk away with at least a point, let alone three. And I think Shuichi Ganda had a huge play in that. He had 8 saves in that game. Um, and Germany had an over 3 XG. It was, it's shocking that they didn't get more goals than they actually did. And I think I certainly was not expecting a performance like that from Japan's goalkeeper in that game, let alone in probably any game in their World Cup group stage. Um, I think he easily won them that game. And if they move on to the next round, they certainly have him to thank.
I love that. I didn't pick him. I did go with a Spain player because of what you said, but I love that. He was fantastic. He was phenomenal. Everything you love about a goalkeeper who's playing against world class players is that's what he showed. Brilliant. Love it. For me, Danny Olmo for Spain, 1 goal, 1 assist, 4 shots, 2 tackles, 88% pass accuracy. I mean, he did it all. So again, you could have picked anybody in that Spain team, really. I completely agree, except for maybe the guys who didn't play. But even then, they were probably better than some of the Costa Rica players. Um, by the way, before we move on, your biggest World Cup um, result: Hungary 10, El Salvador 1, 1982. Hungary 9, South Korea 0, 1954. That was when Puskas was still with the team. Yugoslavia 9, Zaire 0, 1974. The only African team in the 1974 World Cup, funny enough. Um, Sweden 8, Cuba 0, 1938. Uruguay 8, Bolivia 0, 1950. Germany 8, Saudi Arabia 0, 2002. And then a bunch of 7-0s. So it's up there, but not that far.
I'm not saying that's necessarily like the most goal differential game, but just how dead Costa Rica were in the game. Just like I pulled up another game just as a comparison. I saw Portugal won 7-0 versus North Korea in 2010. Side note, I can't believe North Korea was in a World Cup.
I do remember this game,
What?
actually. I remember
Yeah,
that game.
Portugal won this game 7-0. But if you look at the numbers of the game, North Korea had 45% possession. They had 15 shots, 4 on goal, versus Costa Rica, who had 18% possession, 0 shots, period, let alone on goal. I feel like it's two completely different 7-0 games.
I want to say that I saw something. I don't know if it was real or not, but yeah, there it is. In North Korea's TV broadcast of that game, they didn't show the end of it. They cut it short. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm
they
surprised
were
they
up
showed it
four
at
no,
all.
they were up 4-0 in North Korea when, due to embarrassment, the government cut the broadcast short. It was after the 60th minute when Thiago scored. No one in the country saw the other 3 goals was 7-0. So
Maybe
that's
maybe
that's why they.
everybody in the country thinks they only lost 4-0.
Well, so I mean, I saw other things that were like, oh, they posted it in the papers that North Korea won like 3-2 or something like that. Um, but yeah, that was funny. Do you have anything else for Group E?
I mean, technically, you could literally do a fact or fiction for every single one of these teams, but I don't want to be here all night, so I'm good.
I'm about to say I think we're moving at a pretty good pace here, and
Yeah, yeah, we
uh,
could just keep
we
going.
we cover a lot of that anyway, just in the way that we talk
Yeah,
about them.
that's true. Group
Group
D.
D.
Yeah.
This is the start of the 2 games already. Group D just finished their games a little bit ago. So Denmark, Tunisia 0-0, France 4-1 Australia, Australia 1-0 Tunisia, France 2-1 Denmark. I mean, is there really a conversation we had about most impressive team?
No, probably not.
I got France. I got really hyped. I'm sorry, hold on. I need to take this time to formally apologize to the people of France for slandering their team, thinking that they were going to fall short. They are the first team since 2006, excuse me, to win a World Cup and then get out of the group. I was wrong. I thought the injuries would kill you. Mbappe is a cheat code. He is superhuman. I'm fairly certain he's not from this planet. I don't know what drug tests or tests we need to do to prove that, but him and Holland need to be sent on whatever meteor they came on. They need to be sent directly back because they are making football different. Um, that is my apology. I will post it to TikTok so people can hear it. Um, But yeah, the slow start had me hyped. I thought I was going to big brain it, and then they did their thing. 6 goals in 2 games against an average Australia side and a really good Denmark side. Um, they showed that they are vulnerable in counterattacks and set pieces. But if you try and play them straight up, that Mbappe guy and all of his friends are going to beat up on you till they take all your lunch money.
Yeah, obviously I had France as well. I think I had higher expectations than you did for them, but I get it because they were coming in just absolutely obliterated by injuries. But this is the deepest team in the world, and I think that they've proved that easily. First team to qualify for the knockout stages, and that that's not a fluke. They've deserved to be in there, and it does help when you have arguably the best player in the world on your team.
Yep, yep. I didn't know Alex Mouille changed his nationality, but I guess he's French now.
He's there, yeah. I don't know if you must have not seen him on the bench. He was there.
I didn't, but he'll get there eventually. Um, Least impressive. This one might be up for debate.
I felt like this one was pretty easy. Um, I'll start with it. For me, it's Denmark. This
Yeah.
team has been very disappointing so far during the World Cup. I think they're much better than they've been playing, but I also think that, you know, I mean they could still easily get out of this group. They're within range of getting out. I think I forget which team they have left. I think Australia, yeah. If they beat Australia, realistically, they're out of the group because Tunisia is probably not going to beat France. I mean, you never know, but I think if they beat Australia, they're getting out of the group. But man, has this been a disappointing group stage for them. Starting off with like the 0-0 draw against Tunisia was definitely not a result that they were looking to get. That's a game that they should be winning. And then France is obviously going to be a tough one, but they were outplayed. They lost pretty, I don't want to say easily, but it was from the numbers wise, it looked like a pretty comfortable France win. Um, Again, they're still able to get out of this group, but man, I just expected more out of them. I expected a bit of a better, more even showing against France, and definitely a better result than they put up against Tunisia. I think they're really lacking some striker power right now. They really just need someone to put the ball home, like just stick like a Lewandowski up top, let Christian Eriksen and everybody create for him. But yeah, I would imagine you have the same thing.
No, I don't.
No, really?
So I wrote this before the France game went final, and they were 1-1.
Hmm.
I picked Tunisia, but it also goes back to the fact that I had Tunisia getting out of the group. So for me personally, it was underwhelming. Um, they had to overcome a lot to get success, but 0 goals in 2 games hurts. It they the reason it hurts is because they defended so well, right? They were so good against Denmark, keeping the ball out. Really great team spirit. I mean, you saw it every tackle they made. They were, you know, yelling, screaming, getting pumped, and you love to see that type of stuff. It just didn't translate to the attacking end. It's going to cost them a place in the round of 16, I think. I mean, there is that small chance they get out, but not the way Mbappe is playing. Um, which hurts because really, I think they probably deserved a result against Australia today. They should be in that second spot, but unfortunately, that's the way football is sometimes. The defense is great, but you can't win games if you don't score goals.
Yeah, yeah. Just looking at it, I just pulled up the box score for that game, and it looks like they should have got something out of that game, um,
Yeah.
let alone a win, which obviously would have propelled them into like a really good spot to get out of this group. It's crazy how like one game can just completely flip your chances.
Yep. Absolutely. Um,
Do
do
we
we
even
do
talk
we
about
really
standout player?
do we need to the French Alex Mouille,
Yeah, I don't think we need to.
Kylian Mbappe, Mbappe?
Yeah.
Um, Duh. Dude, it's a cheat code. I mean, oh my God, you see him play?
Yeah, he's
Three
insane.
goals, 3 goals in 2 games, including both of them in the 2-1 win over Denmark. The way I describe it is like watching. Have you ever seen highlights of young Thierry Henry at Arsenal and Monaco? Go
Uh,
watch
Maybe a few, but not many.
go watch those highlights. It's like watching Mbappe play. It's the same thing, man. It is so nice watching him on the ball. His acceleration, his skills, his finishing ability, his defensive contributions when he gives them, his ability in the air, everything that he does reminds me of young Thierry Henry, which I wish I actually grew up watching. I didn't, unfortunately, but just watching those highlights, it's the same player. Giroud's probably going to break Henry's record this year or this tournament. Give it 3 years and Mbappe's shattering that
Oh,
record.
100%,
It won't
100%.
even be close.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, I have Mbappe as well. 3 goals, 1 assist in 2 games. He's your, I don't know what's the Ballon d'Or equivalent for the World Cup. Is it just, I know it's
Just
not like,
best player.
yeah, just best player.
I,
I
I
mean,
think it's a.
he's
I think it's called the Golden Ball officially.
golden ball. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I think he's going to be your golden ball player. Certainly if he keeps up this level, I think I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Richarlison actually has a shot to challenge him. But at the moment, I think it's Mbappe's to lose.
Um. Yeah. No. 100%. On to Group C.
Yeah.
All right. Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia in the opening match as Mexico draws Poland. Poland beating Saudi Arabia and Argentina, dos a ceroing Mexico, whatever you want to call them, the team that's going to be out by next week. Um, Most impressive team, go.
Saudi Arabia.
You're
Yeah, I would imagine you would have the same here. I think a lot of people would pick them. Obviously pulled off the massive upset against Argentina in the first game, so much so that they declared it a national holiday the next day. I think that's
unbelievable.
awesome.
I love it.
Um, yeah, I think we're all here for it. They played, I mean, that's exactly what you need a team that's coming in as that much of an underdog to do. It's just like you don't need to be the better team, but just be like tough, gritty, and take your chances when you have them and walk and just somehow stun them and walk away with 3 points. And that's exactly what they did. And they're and even though there's still, a chance that they don't go through to the next round, because of that game, they're still in the competition and fighting to move on right now, versus just not being involved at all. So and then to add on top of that, I know that they lost against Poland and it was a 2-0 loss, but to be honest, that was a very even game. They were holding their own against Poland.
They weren't holding their own against Poland. They were better than Poland. They played out of their minds. And you forgot to mention the most important part of this team. Hervé Renard, their head coach. Phenomenal. Tactical masterclass against Argentina. And again, he had them playing. Saudi Arabia had 64% possession today. 64. Poland barely touched the ball in the first half. They missed the penalty, which hurt them. But really, it was the missed penalty, and they had an error on the second goal that gave Lewandowski the goal. Other than that, they were the better team. I mean, every stat: more shots, more possession, more pass success, more successful dribbles, more aerials won, more tackles won, more corner kicks. I mean, everything was Saudi Arabian uh, positive. They upset Argentina, earn themselves Rolls Royce, a national holiday, and probably when they get back, are going to have their own piece of the country to rule however they want. Just give it to them because that's how they do things. The tactical masterclass by Hervé Renard as a guy who's going through his coaching licenses right now was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He went into halftime, recognized the issues that were made, went in the locker room, ripped them apart, fixed it, and the players responded properly to get what they needed out of that. The low block was great. They couldn't figure it out. Personally, I think they were lucky with the second goal. that got called back. I think Lautaro Martinez was onside. Um, However, that's in the past because that it doesn't matter anymore, right? They went out and in the second half they pressed the heck out of them. Get high, win the ball high. Don't let them turn. Don't give them into space. Pick up the second ball and go. And they scored two quickly and then they parked it and they said, "Come break us down." They could. Brilliant, brilliant coaching. Again, in the second game they were fantastic as well. Like we just talked about, they they moved the ball better than a lot of teams that I've watched this tournament. The way that they kept the ball, I mean, the finishing on the back end was not there, excuse me, and they had one defensive mistake that cost them a goal. Other than that was Saudi Arabia's game to win. It was a great performance, easily the most impressive team in the tournament for me, the whole tournament.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with you much there. If
All
they
right.
keep up that form and that level of play, they're getting out of this group because
Oh yeah.
they're going up against a very out of form Mexico next game.
Mm, that sounds
Which,
rather unimpressive.
yeah, I think that's a great transition point to least impressive.
Wow. Look at that. Would you like to
Look at
tell me
that.
who your least impressive? Please give all the slander you'd like. I'm here for it.
So I really think least impressive was just going to be the loser of today's afternoon game. If Argentina lost, it was going to be Argentina. Honestly, if it was a draw too, it would have been Argentina for me. And I had them originally, but because they beat Mexico, Mexico is my least impressive team. I think people have a higher expectation of how well Mexico was going to come in and play, me included. I put them second, just based on the fact of historical World Cups. But I think they're kind of starting to age, and I don't think the replacements are quite up to level yet for their team. So I think the cracks are starting to show a bit here. I think Tata Martino's on his way out. I think after this World
CEO.
Cup, he's gone. Um, I don't think he was the right coach for them. It's been pretty clear, I would say. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe it's just a tactical thing. Maybe he's just playing the players in the wrong way, or if it's just the fact that their better players are aging now and the new guys that are coming in are just not as good. Maybe they just have a tough group and they're just not performing well. They could still easily get out of this group. They have to be a Saudi Arabia team that is playing well, as we talked about, but they have been underwhelming, to say the least, during this World Cup so far.
That's really interesting. I do wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that he left Carlos Vela and where'd he go?
Chicharito,
Chicharito. Did he not score a lot this year? No.
they were sacrifices so that they could bring back the spirit of Guillermo Ochoa.
Um, Hold on one sec. Sorry, I was gonna set up this really good line here. Uh,
What's the line? I'm waiting.
Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait because now I gotta get it.
Oh,
There it is. Yeah, I wonder if it's the fact that he'll have 27 goals at home between Chicharito and Carlos Vela combined, and instead replace them with Raul Jimenez, who hasn't played with the national team in a year because of injury, and played Alex Vega on the right, who who does he play in League MX? I have no idea. Alexi Vega, yeah, he plays for Chivas Guadalajara. He had 3 goals in 16 appearances, and instead, because he plays in Mexico and not United States, he got taken over Carlos Vela, who had 9 goals and did this thing called win an MLS Cup.
yeah.
That's the issue. That's the issue. The fact
No,
that Tata Martino's anti MLS propaganda, even though he took Hector Herrera, is is what killed him, right? Um, Scoreless against the subpar Poland side, which again they got the win today, sure, great, but they haven't been great. Um, Messi and friends beat them. They didn't have a goal. They had 3 shots on target in 2 games. no idea of an attack. If you watch that game today against Argentina, all they did was dump it and say, "Go get it, Chucky," and add and run. I mean, there's no build up, there's no attacking phase, there's no plan of anything. They were just hoping and praying. Um, this was their last chance, like you had mentioned. This was their last chance to show that they could compete with this team that they had without until all of their players started to cycle out Guardado, Herrera, Ochoa. Those guys once they start cycling, you're right. There is no replacement for them. Canada and USA will take over CONCACAF. They will be the forgotten stepchild. They're going to have to deal with it until they can put money into their academies. That's just the way it's going to be. They'll make they're still strong enough to be better than four other nations in the octagon. They are, but they're going to have the same issue every time they show up until they can start replacing it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I mean, they've been anemic in the attack. Um, Not to keep pulling on the stat, but XG again combined across the two games, they have not even hit one XG. So they have just been,
Again, no idea what they're doing.
yeah, they've just been completely unthreatening in the attack.
Talk to me about some. I don't know. Talk to me about some standout players, maybe.
So I did this earlier while I was watching the game, and I feel like I kind of want to change it, but I don't want to waste the time in looking someone up. I've got Ochoa on there as mine. Without him, I think Mexico are eliminated already, considering the fact that he literally won them a point in the first game with a penalty save and keeping a clean sheet. Um, and without that, they would they I think they would be officially eliminated, or they would basically be eliminated. I think they would
Um,
be officially out, right?
if they had lost that game to Poland,
Yes.
they would be because it's no, they wouldn't
Because
be.
Saudi
They'd be
Arabia and
very, very
Argentina would be on three, and somebody
yeah,
has to
they
get a point.
right, but Mexico plays Saudi Arabia, Poland plays Argentina.
Oh yeah, you're right. Technically
So
they
so
could.
technically they'd still have a chance, but either way, it's the same deal. They'd have to get a win and some help.
Yeah. Um yeah, so I would say yeah, he stepped up big time in the first game. The typical every 4 years he takes the MLS sacrifices and he stores it in his body and brings out the ghost of Guillermo World Cup Ochoa, and was phenomenal in the first game. The second game ended up not being as much of the case, considering Argentina ended up winning. And had I done it at the end of the game, I probably would pick somebody from Saudi Arabia, but I don't want to waste the time in looking up someone new. So maybe I'll just go based off of who you picked.
I went with the Saudi Arabian center mid, Ano. He's been running the show. Um, I heard today during their game that they compared him to Paul Pogba in the way that he controls the game, his contributions in the attack and the defense. Um, and I agree. I watched it closer after they talked about it. He's all over the pitch, making interceptions, playing balls forward, tons of ground covered. Um, he's been really, really impressive in these two games against both teams. Four dribbles completed, six aerial challenges, including five against Poland. Three tackles, four clearances, three interceptions, never got dispossessed, not once. If you're, I tweeted this out during their second game. Saudi Arabian League's about to get poached. Man City, United, PSG, they're all about to go buy these guys for $1 million and flip them for six because they can play. They can play. So I would say he's on his way out for sure. Really, really big fan of the way he plays. Um, Something to watch against Mexico for sure. See if he can pocket Guardado.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Man City to have an affiliate team in the League if they don't already. We
Oh,
could we could start
I'm sure
taking
there's
bets
something.
on which team's getting bought.
I say Saudi Arabia's got all those Al Hilal and all those guys. So whichever one already has the most titles, they'll just buy and make them better.
Yeah,
Which one did
City Group.
Giovinco go to? Al Hilal.
So I'm not sure which one he went to, but yeah, which they're just gonna buy a team in the Saudi League and then just start destroying all the talent that's in there, sending
Yes.
it into the loan system.
Yep. Al Hilal. Awesome.
Great.
All right. Are we in are we on our way to
Our
the
favorite
group of
group.
death?
Yeah.
The group that gives me a heart attack every other day?
Yeah. Yes.
God. All right. Penguins 6-2 versus Iran. USA 1-1 Wales. Iran 2-0 Wales. Penguin 0-0 to USA. Have you been on TikTok in the last 24 hours?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Get on there and listen to all of the Euro snobs crying about Gareth Southgate inability to manage a game. It
Oh
will
yeah,
give
I've
you
seen that on Twitter. It's great.
so much life. Oh my goodness. Just watching them. What's great is it'll go back to back. The first one will be before the game, like, oh, what are you predicting? 6-0 England, 5-0 England. I'll be nice, 4-1 England. And then it was West Brom. They talked to all the West Brom guys, and Daryl DK was like, bro, 2-1 USA. Watch it. And they come in and the Americans outplayed them, completely outclassed them. Tyler Adams is still emptying his pockets of every English player that he stuffed in there over 90 minutes. Unbelievable performance. Matt Turner, fantastic in the goal. Zimmerman was my only question mark in possession. Defensively, he was fine. Tim Ream, phenomenal. Jude Bellingham, was he on the pitch? Couldn't tell you. Probably in Tyler Adams' pocket the whole time. Harry
Probably
Kane?
still is in his pocket.
Harry Kane? Who's that?
Parry
Two
Payne?
games, 2 games, 0 goals. Why? 0 penalties. Parry Payne, useless. Jack Grealish doesn't even get off the bench until the 75th minute. No Phil Foden was shocking. Harry Maguire was their best player. Okay, that's when
Yeah.
you know that we absolutely ruined them. We should have won that game. It was criminal that we didn't. Pulisic hit the post. We had a couple of posts, I think. Like I said, Turner made a good save. Zimmer made a great block. For the people who were listening who thought that England was going to walk all over us, cry. Hold that out. The issue is we still need a result on Tuesday. But
Let's just gloss over that part.
yeah, we're gonna forget about that, right? Um, yeah, so Mason Mount, useless, punted, unbelievably terrible. Tyler Adams, best. They went to a 4-4-2 and they couldn't figure it out. That's the basic formation. They all play against it when Sean Dyke is around. 4-4-2, heave it, bro. And they don't know how to break it down. Terrible, terrible. Absolutely phenomenal performance. It hurt that we couldn't get the result. I think we deserved it. We deserved 3 points. England deserved nothing, and that made me feel really good.
Yeah. Um, I, I think you just wanted to give a USA recap there. I think we kind of went off
I
script
did.
on what we were
I did
supposed
just
to
a
talk.
little bit. I didn't mean to, but goodness me, I needed to slander some Penguin fans because again, even we subbed on Shaq more. He
Yeah,
gave you 3 fouls in the attacking half, and you couldn't do anything with it.
I know 100
We played
million Jack
Weston McKinney
Grealish
at
couldn't beat Shaq more.
75% for we played Weston McKinney at 75% for 80 minutes, and he still bossed your entire midfield. Like it's embarrassing. These people think that they're just so much better because they're all Premier League players, and then they just got MLS hard. Oh, who's your most impressive team?
What a great segue, right? I'll be honest with you. I haven't been impressed by any team that's been in this group. I really think that everybody's kind of been underperforming a little bit. I sadly have to say England, honestly. I think that they definitely did not deserve to get a win against the US. They barely deserved to get a draw. I think they should have lost that game. But the 6-2 thumping of Iran was definitely that's like their peak level. Like that's the level that they can get to. The issue is that they're so inconsistent. They don't always get to that level. But if they're at that level, they're one of the better teams in the world. Um, and I just think that if they can find that consistency at that level, they'll be much more dangerous. But I think the following game against the US shows that they just don't have that consistency. So I don't think that they've been impressive, but I just think they've been the more impressive team just based on that one game.
Yeah, 100% agree. I just slander them all the time, and I hate to say this because I got bossed by the US of A, baby. But the 6-2 game puts them in that category for the exact reason that you said. Nobody's really been impressive. There's nobody who stood out in this group like, oh my God, they're Brazil or they're France, right? Nobody's done that. So the 6-2 game puts them in there. So it's really good that they can handle teams that are not great. But once somebody goes to that 4-4-2 and they can't figure it out, hint, hint, Wales, go 4-4-2 and they can't figure you out, you'll be done. USA clear. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I would love to see a nice 4-0 Wales win, and then we beat Iran, and Penguin gets knocked out.
Please, hook right to my veins.
Oh yeah,
Right to my
100%.
veins. Um, Least impressive team for me. I need more Euro snob tiers. So Wales, welcome to the party. You guys are terrible. I don't want to be that guy who's like, I told you so, but I told you so. They're a one-man team with an aging midfield, a back line that can't figure it out. They've got no attacking idea. They're the European Mexico. What do you? The team was terrible on paper. They had terrible performance, and I'm using my notes have the PG-13 version. I'm using the PG version because we are a family-friendly professional podcast. They got ridiculously lucky that Walker Zimmerman gifted them a point. That is the only reason they're even remotely close to being in the game right now. Against Iran, by the way, don't think it was a red card, personally, not for me. Um, 10 shots, 3 of them on target. Gareth Bale had 1 of them. Against the US, 7 shots, 3 of them on target, 1 of them a penalty. And that 1 was from Bale. Bale was non existent. Their other 2 shots came from Davies and Ampadu. The team had nothing going for them. They never did. And they showed up and they underperformed yet again. Euro snobs pulled that L, try harder. And then what a ratio? Do the kids say ratio still?
Yeah,
Ratio.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also had Wales. I think this team at the moment is better than they've been playing at the level. Um, but I 100% think that this is like the last time, and I'll eat these words when inevitably we go to 40 teams and they make it again. But assuming they keep the 32 team format, which I know they're not, but assuming they did, I think this would be the last time we see this Wales team for a while because Gareth Bale carries this team. And if you take him out of the picture, which this might be his last World Cup, I don't remember how old he is exactly, but if you take him out of the
34,
picture,
35.
yeah, I mean it's probably his last one. Um, if you take him out of the picture, this team is just not good. I mean, you talked about it on paper, they're not good. And I feel like without him, they're gonna not be good. I think just even within the UK, Scotland will be better. I think maybe even Ireland could end up being better. Probably not. Probably not Ireland. That might be a stretch, but um, yeah, they have not been good. Um, and I expected more from them, despite the fact that I put them in last. I thought they'd be a bit more competitive. I guess the second half against the U.S., I thought that that was probably the best that they've played at the World Cup so far. Partially, part of that was because Greg has no idea how to do tactics mid-game, but I expected to see more of that level from them as opposed to them kind of just playing more so like the first half against the U.S.
Uh, yeah, it makes me cry 0 tears the fact that they weren't good this year or this tournament because I told them that would happen, and then all of the Euro snobs came at me in the comments, tried to tell me I was an idiot, and then what I did is after they lost to Iran, I went directly to the comments and I commented back on each and every one of them and said, "What's up, dog?" or something along those lines. Some of them came back and said, "Yeah, my bad, I messed up." Others came back and said something Euro snobby. I don't know. I don't need to take the time to repeat it. It'll probably be one of those Euro snob episodes that we do. Um, hold that.
Good talk.
Standout, standout player. This is easy.
This is easy. It's Tyler Adams.
The best number 6 in the world. That's how you have to say it from now on.
Okay. Well, I mean, what if Alex Muil's playing at 6?
Don't put
Your
me in that
brain's
situation.
broken. You don't know what to do.
Don't put me in that situation. That's mean. Listen,
Yes. Tyler Adams. Go
his
ahead. Go
his
for it.
stats don't show up on the score sheet. Anybody who doesn't know the game might not understand his importance to the team. But he has shown that he is at the very least a top 5 number 6 in the world. The ground that he covers, his ability to win the ball back without fouling, his ability to catch players that are in front of him, tackling, interceptions, put balls in the air, work rate. Everything that he does is the reason the U.S. is in the game where they are right now. England would have washed us if Tyler Adams wasn't in that game. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, he's not the best number. He just runs around a lot." Because it's not true. 7 for 7 on tackles. Didn't miss. Like when he went into tackles, he won the ball. Not once did he lose a tackle. 3 pass interceptions, 3 aerials won, all against England. Okay, that is insanity for a player to do something like that. I don't have his mileage. I wish I did, but his miles got to add up to something along the lines of 15 or 16 miles over the last couple of games. RBNY fans knew what we had when we had it. Nobody listened to us. We sent him to Leipzig, and the coach at Leipzig didn't want him. Like, "Oh, you're not good enough for me." So Jesse Marsh came in and was like, "Let's go make a super team." So he took him to Leeds, and now he's the best number 5 or number 6, maybe in the world. I will say maybe Casemiro, maybe Busquets, depending on. So there are 2 different types of roles that a 6 can play, in my opinion. The cruncher, the cleanup guy that Tyler Adams is, or the possession in the back, stopgap type of cut passing lane. Tyler Adams doesn't fit in that category. In the enforcer role, it's N'Golo Kante, it's Casemiro, it's Tyler Adams. I cannot think of anybody else who fits in that role. I want so badly, Connor. I need you to look at me for this. I want so badly for the England fans to get in my comments and say one word about Declan Rice being on the same level as him. I want it because it would make my day. It would make my day to hear that because of how stupid it would sound. Declan Rice is rated at $88 million on transfer market. $88 million. He had 1 tackle. 1. And you want to compare him to Tyler Adams? Cry. I won't have it. Tyler Adams is clear of any English defensive mid. Hendo's gone. Rice is gone. Calvin Phillips, gone. Tyler Adams, clear. Thank you.
You know, it's a part of Tyler Adams' game that I feel like a lot of people sleep on as well, is he's the captain of this team. And I think he's a damn good captain too. From even the little bits that I've seen him at Leeds, I know that he will be a phenomenal captain for this team. He's going to be a great leader for us. And really, like, he's going to back the guys on the field. He's going to amp them up, and he's going to play phenomenally while he does it too. I couldn't ask for a better player in the midfield.
Here's how I will end this before we go to Group A. When I was still in Kentucky, I had a buddy of mine, big supporter of Europa Lona. I told him that Tyler Adams was a top 10 number 6 in the world. He laughed at me and went on to Transfer Market and made a list of all these players that he thought was better. He texted me first after the Wales game saying, "Man, I really actually like him a lot." Then after the England game and said I was wrong. In quoting him, saying he was wrong about what he said. That's how good he was. How often do you see somebody who supports Brocolona change their mind on things, right? That's what Tyler Adams did. And like as we said to end the segment on Group B, he is still emptying his pockets of Mason Mount. He's dropping him off at whatever airport is in Qatar, sending him back to London and saying goodbye. USA clear. Group A?
Yeah.
All right. Um, Qatar, 0-2 versus Ecuador to open the tourney. Senegal, 0-2 to Netherlands. Qatar again, 1-3 to Senegal. The hosts are now out because of Netherlands 1-1 to Ecuador. I talked a lot. I'll let you go first. Talking about your most impressive team.
Um, Easy. Ecuador. This team has been so fun to watch, and they have played so well, and they deserve every bit to get out of this group, even though that's not a guarantee at the moment. But yeah, they have looked, they've just been so fun to watch. Um, you look at the team on paper, there's no Mbappe, there's no Messi, there's no Ronaldo on this team. There's one man who I'm going to talk about later,
Me
standout
too.
player, hint, hint. Um, and he, name wise, he's not nearly at that level. So, the thing that makes this team so great is their cohesiveness and the way that they play like a team. Um, and one of the things I added to my notes on paper, not nearly as talented as Netherlands. Netherlands have so many massive names on the club scale that if you look at it just on ahead of time, like on paper, you should be like, Netherlands should just walk this game. But Ecuador just plays so well in their system and as a team, chemistry wise, and they've looked every bit a team that should be coming out of this group, um, and competitive even in the knockout rounds. So easily for me, the most impressive team in this group.
Yeah, I agree. Certain people who know ball really well knew that they would tie Netherlands 1-1. I won't name them per se, but it's one of these two people in the chat, and it's not you.
It's Grace.
Correct. Grace heard us talking. She got up. She's like, "What?" We both had them at the bottom. We thought they were just a bit outside the level. They went in. They beat the hosts. They beat
Granted,
Corrupt.
I want to jump in on there. Granted, that was when Sadio Mane was still not hurt.
Correct. By the way, a side note, I'm really upset because when I saw Sadio Mane was out, I dropped Senegal, but I believed in the corruption. I put Qatar at second. I'm so tight. Because Senegal is probably going to go through. I went literally, it was 10 minutes before everything locked up. I was so tight when I saw them lose. I was like, ah. Anyways, they went in, they beat the host, they beat the corruption of whatever the heck that offside call was. Still don't believe it's true. Um, they get that much needed draw against the Netherlands to put them in a great spot to move on. Um, they're in the mix, man. They need one more good result against a Senegal team that they can play with. You talked about it. They have one guy, really. They've got other players who are at a good level, but they got one guy who's carrying them right now, and it's based off of a system where they're playing really good counterattacking football. They're getting stuck in. They're winning the ball in dangerous areas, countering quickly with numbers, and they're getting chances. And those chances are being tucked away. Um, yeah, they can play. They're in a really good position. I am pulling for them now to get through. I would love to see them get through. So, um, talking about your least impressive team.
Qatar, man. I mean,
Yep.
this is not the same team that we saw be competitive in Asia and be so competitive in the Gold Cup. I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know what it is, but they just do not look like the same team. I get that on paper, this is probably how things should look for them, considering that they don't have any notable players on their team. But this team was playing so much better than they've been playing at this World Cup. And this was a group for them that they could have got out of. And they got handed an even bigger chance at that when Senegal lost Sadio Mane. I mean, they should have been much more competitive in this group. And despite that fact, they were the first team knocked out of the group stages. So easily for me, they've been the least impressive.
You could say it right. They're the first team knocked out of their own World Cup. That's how you want to phrase that. It's terrible. It's terrible, 100%. After a really good Gold Cup in 21 and a winning the Asian Cup in 2019, I had high expectations. I thought they were going to be legit. Um, so naturally, because I thought they'd be good, they came in and they flopped because that's how this world works. Um, zero shots on target against Ecuador, only three against Senegal. Um, they look like they've never played soccer before. Half the time that they have the ball in their back line. I mean, the goalkeeper errors, the missed clearances. It looks semi-professional. It looks like I'm watching a USL 2 game. It's an embarrassment. That's what it is. The hosts have been embarrassed on their home soil. They stopped playing for 5 years. The players in this team were selected 5 years ago to train every day with each other, day in and day out, to be prepared for this World Cup to get bounced by game two. Embarrassing. There's
Yeah,
nothing else to say except embarrassing.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
All right, let's talk about our standout player. I say our because if you have anybody else, you're wrong.
Yeah, believe it or not, I went with the guy that has scored every single goal for Ecuador in the last two World Cups combined. That man would be Ener Valencia, who I think is everybody's pick for top player out of this group. I think it's probably one of the most obvious decisions. He's got, I think, three goals right now so far. Is that right?
He does. Yes, he does.
Three goals so far. Just to add a little bit more details to what I said before, last World Cup that Ecuador was in, which was 2014, they scored three goals. Guess who scored all three goals? Ener Valencia. Guess who scored all three goals for them so far this World Cup? Ener Valencia. At this rate, he's going to score every World Cup goal for Ecuador for the rest of eternity. So, yeah, no, he's been unquestionably the best player for them. I mean, they don't get me wrong; they've had plenty of other players who've been playing well. But the guy that's scoring every single one of your goals, yeah, he's easily the standout player for me.
Here is the issue, though. His tournament may be over. You see that injury that he got?
I did not. What
He
happened?
was carried off on a stretcher.
That would be
Looking up
heartbreaking.
here, the update says there is no update.
Yeah, I don't see anything. So hopefully that's no news is hopefully good news.
Media reports suggest that he should be fit to play against Senegal on Tuesday, where all they would need is a point to move on. So that's looking better. But yeah, he was carried off on a stretcher with his hands over his face, really, really upset, which is not a good look for, as you said, there has been one goal scorer in 8 years for this team at a World Cup, and that is him. He is him. Um, if he cannot play, you will see this team struggle. And I genuinely, genuinely believe it will be a 5-5-0 formation, and they will say, break me down, I dare you. And they're just going to try and get a point and get out. Go play anti football. It'll be great.
Yeah,
Is that it?
I just saw a video of him casually walking around after the game. So
Okay, that's
I think
great.
he's going to be okay.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
It's huge for them.
Okay,
So,
that is
yeah,
massive. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, for watching, for being anti-Euro snob. Because I think everybody who listens to us has to be anti-Euro snob. You guys are great. Make sure you guys are following us wherever you get your podcasts, so you know when the next episode goes live. We'll do a group stage roundup here sometime soon. Um, After the next half, this is the halfway point officially, right? To one full game for everybody, and then half the group has half. So we'll do the other half at the end. Um, so make sure you're following us so that when that goes live in 10, 12 days, whatever, you're there for it. And then follow us wherever you get your social media, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Search the Designated Players Podcast. You'll find us. Group B predictions TikTok after I went back and called everybody out. 80,000 views.
nice.
We're closing in on the six figures.
I know, 100K.
Um, yeah, so and we still only have 183 followers. Funny enough, all the Euro snobs are not following us.
No,
Um,
why would they?
yeah, no, that's they know where we're at. Um, but yeah, make sure you follow us there. Follow us wherever you get your podcast. Like, share, subscribe, whatever all that good stuff is. And then we will see you on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.